Hey everybody, a little bit different video today, an interview with Thomas Gilkey. Been wanting to do this kind of thing for a while. Should be a lot of fun. We also talk about something we both enjoy. So, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, hiss and foes, welcome to the Culture Casino!
So today, we're doing something a little bit unique. This particular recording is actually done with someone else. I have a special guest, Thomas Gilkey, who has a channel here on YouTube and, of course, various social media accounts, but is a huge member of our community, somebody that we all respect and we look up to, and somebody who keeps us grounded and keeps us away from being too hyperbolic, and a person that I consider a friend. So today, our subject matter is going to revolve around one of our favorite characters, fictional characters. Of course, it's Indiana Jones. And of course, the only actor that's ever played him as an adult, Harrison Ford. And with that, let me bring in the very talented and wonderful human being that I know as, the heart and soul of something. I won't say any more. My friend, Thomas Gilkey. How are you doing today, Thomas?
I am doing just dandy. It's after 11. It's 11:30 here in the grand state of Massachusetts. Thank you very much for having me on, Mr. Culture Casino.
There you go. And I appreciate that. And I know you're incredibly busy. I know it's late at night, and I know you're a working fella. So we kind of just want to get through the things that we love. And there's a lot of things that we love. And these characters in all of these pop culture and entertainment, areas, there are things that we grew up with. And I think for me, there's probably a handful. You and I have already talked about our love for James Bond, of course.
Yeah.
But we have someone in common as well, that you have an amazing character in Indiana Jones, played by Harrison Ford. And I mean, I love all of the Indy films. I'm pretty sure you do too. Do you have a moment you remember most specifically, I guess, that drew you to that?
So, in reference to, I like all of the Indiana Jones films except for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Ooh.
Because to me, that didn't feel like Indiana Jones at all. In my eyes, Indiana Jones is all about Nazis.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, Nazis were and will always be considered one of the greatest threats to humanity.
Yeah. During that period of time, absolutely.
In the comic books, the Joker is considered one of the greatest threats. But in reference to your question about, is there one particular moment that stands out? To me, the one moment that stands out to me is in Indiana, two moments. One is in The Last Crusade, Raiders of the Lost Ark, when the movie first begins and you see this guy pulling out a gun because he wants to shoot somebody. And you see the beautiful cinematography, and then you see the crack of a whip, and you hear a gunshot, and you think, oh shit, oh snap, bam, somebody got shot, and then you see, and then it turns, and then you see Harrison, the legendary, iconic Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones, which at that time nobody knew. I mean, well, no, actually, people knew who he was from Han Solo, but apart from that, he wasn't really a household name, in my personal opinion. I think other people can debate that, certainly.
Yeah.
And then the other moment was in The Last Crusade, and it's right when they all leave. Two moments. They leave the temple, the temple of the Crescent Moon.
Yeah.
At the end, and Indy says to Indiana Jones and his dad, played by the legendary, may he rest in peace, Sir Sean Connery, and he says, "What did you find, Junior?" And they have that little bit of dialogue, or Indy says to his dad, "What did you find, Dad?" He's like, "Me, illumination." And then he has that typical Sean Connery grin, with the eyes and everything.
Yeah.
And then the other moment was Marcus Brody Sala, his dad, India's dad, Henry Jones Sr., and Indiana Jones galloping off into the sunset.
It was iconic, and it was a great way to end what we thought was the end of the franchise, right? So, and that leads us into the next conversation, because there were some iconic moments during this third film, and yeah, here it is, and one of my favorite moments, and they both work together to conquer these problems. His dad was an excellent teacher, right? But he was really buried in his books, and Indiana was all about like the actual experience and the actual physical aspect of it all. Mm-hmm. But it was really brilliant the way they put these two men together and this particular film. And I thought, you know what? Thomas is 100% right. The best moments are the ones where Indiana Jones, is being himself at the beginning, the middle, and end of the film. And the very last scene of The Last Crusade, that should have been the last word, because he rode off into the sunset. It's two iconic actors, right? And that should have been that. And it wasn't. We got a fourth film. And this is going to lead us into further conversation, I know. But that fourth film was Crystal Skull, right? And, there's a longer title than that, but everybody knows what I'm talking about when I say that. And that was the weirdest, most non-Indiana Jones film I think I could have ever possibly have imagined. And and honestly, I mean, they had quality actors. I mean, no matter what you think about Shia LaBeouf and the other folks that were involved in that production, I mean, it was pretty good. And could Shia LaBeouf have been a replacement for Indiana Jones? Possibly, before he blew his career up. But there were some other actors along the way that could have done a better job, and unfortunately we lost one of them, who happened to play young Indiana Jones in a previous film, in River Phoenix. But my question is, and I know you and I both want to disavow any knowledge of Crystal Skull, but was there anything in that film that was particularly distasteful to you?
To me, it was just... one was the refrigerator scene.
Oh, yeah.
The other one was the gopher. Because I'm a big fan of Chris Stuckman, the film critic. Yeah. And he made a good point, is that, in a way, it's like the gopher was like an omen. Yeah. Showing up, to ward you away. I think another one was just some of the jokes, some of the lines in the film. And one of the things I thought was particularly distasteful to me as a fan of the franchise was when Mutt, played by Shia LaBeouf, rescues Indy, and they are riding in a motorcycle, and they knock into a statue of Marcus Brody, and he falls down the statue, and it's like it's kind of like they should have done something better to, rather than just, he's gonna, he retired, or I think that's what they explained. He died or he retired in the film in the middle-ish. But
it was very bad.
Yeah, and to me that was just not okay. Like, imagine if they did that imagine if there was like a statue of Darth Vader, for example, in like the Star Wars films. The fans would riot.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, if Sean Connery's representation physically, if something happened like that, it would be very off-putting. Would probably be how I would put it. But so with that being said, I kind of felt like there wasn't anything left to do in Indiana Jones, right? And I felt like he could have existed in other places, other spaces, like animation, something like that. Or we could go way back and cast a very youthful person to play an actual young Indiana Jones, because we've had animation based on that before and some stuff like that. But so what I wasn't expecting was for them to actually move forward on this project that I've been hearing about for almost 5 years now, called Indiana Jones 5, which, of course, the title hasn't been released yet, but there are some well-educated guesses out there on the internet, and I'm not going to spoil any of those names, but I'm approaching this film. I feel there's some trepidation, not for any other reason than I'm concerned, and one of the reasons I'm concerned is in news we heard last week now that Harrison Ford got injured on the set because he's elderly, he's 78 years old, and I also feel like the time period they're trying to depict isn't great, right? So everything I've heard is that we're going to still see the Yahtzees in the film, but you know, I've been a little concerned all along, and I'm kind of concerned because number one, I don't want Harrison Ford to be badly injured. I mean, he's already been injured in Star Wars. I mean, it seems like whenever he goes to Pinewood, he gets hurt. But I don't know. What do you think about this fifth film? Do you think one, was it necessary, and two, do you have any apprehension like I do?
So that's a great question. Two great questions. So the first answer to your question is I will say is that I think, and it's just my personal take because I appeal, and I know this is going to get a lot of hate, but I don't care. To me, Indiana Jones is a more relatable character for me personally than like a Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Because I've always been an adventurer.
Yeah.
And always, you know, throughout my life, I've always gotten into dangerous situations, just like Indy. You know, and Luke's relatable for sure. But for me, Indy is just a little bit more relatable. And I think that, yes, in a way, it was necessary because I always believe in a studio redeeming themselves. You're seeing that right now in a way with Disney Star Wars. They put out 2-3 garbage Star Wars films, the Disney sequel trilogy. But then they started doing The Mandalorian, Bad Batch, Star Wars Rebels, The Clone Wars Season 7, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, all of which I believe have been praised by people both within and outside of the community in some way, shape, or form. And in my eyes, the community, not the community, sorry, in my eyes, there needs, if there is my only hope for this film is that at the end, that there's going to be like a little tribute to the people that worked in the film. Because the only three big reasons why I am going to be seeing this film when it comes out, because I will be there in opening weekend or the week after, is because, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this John Williams? Is he doing anything more after this?
No, this is absolutely his last soundtrack, his last score for any cinematic release, by his own words.
Okay, so I'm doing it out of respect for John Williams, because when you think of cinematic scores, when you think of cinema in general, John Williams' name is up there with the likes of Stanley Kubrick, Walt Disney, Spielberg, Scorsese, name them all, and John Williams will get high up there. I'm seeing it out of respect to John Williams because I want to show my love and respect for him. And as we all know, the box office speaks. Another reason is I'm curious to see what James Mangold can do. I think what he did with with Logan and Ford versus Ferrari was phenomenal. Yeah. Yes, he ruffled feathers, absolutely, and he's pissed people off. But the way I like to separate somebody between who they are as a person versus them as a working in the industry. I think when you as a director, you can't deny that what he did was pretty incredible with Ford versus Ferrari, the Wolverine and Logan, because I think he also liked the Wolverine. And number 3, most importantly, is how are we going to end the role of Harrison Ford? Are we going to end it like we did with the Force Awakens, where he has a meaningful, unimportant death, and the character didn't really matter. It felt like the character didn't matter. Or are we going to end it in a glorious, with him being the Indiana Jones that we all know and love? There's a lot of intrigue by a lot of people. There's also a lot of mystery.
Yeah. I'm with you there. I agree with that.
Going to your second question, yes.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of trepidation. I have a lot of trepidation involved. I think one of the biggest things, and you mentioned it when you were speaking, was Harrison Ford. He's 78, and I think this injury is going to set back filming for a few weeks.
Yeah, somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks, most likely. Especially with surgery. I mean, he's a little bit older. It takes a little longer to recover. 6 weeks on a shoulder injury. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
think that this is gonna be interesting. Are they gonna do it, or are they gonna, when are they gonna do it? Because I hope that nothing goes wrong for the franchise, for Harrison Ford. I hope that he's gonna be able to recover safely and then come back, but we don't know. We've seen in films and even sports, you have an actor or a sports icon, and they get an injury, and it
sets them back. Yeah,
exactly.
Like Bo Jackson is a primary example of that. With the hip injury that he had. But yeah, and that's the problem is with soft tissue injuries, as you get older, they're harder to come back from. I know, because I just turned 50 this year. And when it takes a lot longer to recover from a rolled ankle, which, I've done a couple times in the last 3 years, playing sports. But it's something to consider. But what I don't want, and I think, I don't know, I'm not going to speak for you, but hopefully you agree. I don't want this to diminish Indiana Jones. I don't want it to diminish the character of the films or anything else. And I felt like the 4th film took a lot of the shine off, and I don't want the 5th film to do that. Do you think we're in danger of that, or are you optimistic? I think I'm looking for, and maybe you are too, something to be optimistic about, because I love the character.
No, absolutely. I completely understand where you're coming from, and I completely agree. I think Harrison Ford is a trooper. He's 78, and how old was he when he did Blade Runner 2049?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I'd have to look it up. Yeah.
So that came out like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So he was like in his 78 now, so he was
70. You have to consider filming was probably 18 months before the release. Sure. So no, I mean, it's so let's say 72, 73 when he started the principal photography there. But I just I mean,
and I do get that. I do get your, I think I want the best quality that we can get. I think we as film fans of the franchise deserve it after the garbage that was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Yeah. And I think if we're not given a good film, then let's speak with our wallets.
I think so. And finally, yes. I have one last question to ask before we wrap up, because this is important to me. What do you think we're going to see? Because we've already had a couple of little tidbits that were dropped out there about what was essentially going to be in the plot. And during a little bit of a unfortunate exchange, James Mangold, may have hinted here and there at stuff, not unintentionally, just by his reactions to things. What do you think we should expect? Story-wise, I mean, or anything. I mean, do you have any idea?
Yeah, no, I think judging by the various images that have been circulating, because I think in one of the images you saw the Nazi symbol. I would think that if Mangold wants to bring the fans back to the glory days, that they are going to find some way to bring back the Nazis, whether that's a flashback or something like that. I think we're going to see a younger Indiana Jones. I think we could see Harrison Ford de-aged, or they could bring in somebody different who plays a younger Harrison Ford. I think the story, I'll put it this way, I think that the story, nothing could be worse than what we got in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, in my personal opinion. But I could be wrong, and if it's horrible, then I will admit that I was wrong. I think story-wise, we're going to hopefully get some good scenes, some good dialogue. I'm cautiously optimistic about it.
Okay. Now, I guess there was another leak, beyond the de-aging stuff that you and I have both seen, right? That included an image of Toby Jones. Let me see if I can bring that up here. Being brought in, as like some part of this, and I think that would be interesting, kind of as whether it be a sidekick or something else. We also know some of the other people that are involved in the project, which obviously include people like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Are there any other casting announcements that you've heard that might have you intrigued or interested in any of those things?
No, I don't know that much about Phoebe Waller-Bridge to give her any 2 cents, to give her anything to mind. No, I mean, I've been Googling, like I think we pretty much all have, to see if, because I mean, I know that when it came to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I believe that John Rhys Davies wanted to come back.
Yeah.
So for Solo, so maybe Mangold will pull a surprise and bring him back. Maybe we're going to see Marion again, or
I haven't seen any sheets.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'm saying maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully we might see Willie Scott to say
Yeah.
farewell, because I think we're going to see something.
I hope so.
don't know whether it's going to be good or bad, but I think we're going to see something. Mangold, I feel, is too talented of a filmmaker.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's very talented. His hot-headed thing the other day was such a turnoff for so many. It just
No, absolutely. I think 100%. I can't defend Mangold and his behavior. I think that was disgusting. I think as a Hollywood director, you need to be better. You need to know better. 100%. But no, I think we're going to see something. I think, if they can't put together a product that is worth showing in theaters, and it pains me to say this, but maybe they should just cancel it.
That's a good question. So let's say Harrison can't recover in a way that makes it feasible to finish. I mean, our friend Tom from Midnight's Edge said something that's very commonly heard in Hollywood. Once you take the film out of the camera, it's really hard to put it back in. So, I mean, when you stop shooting something and take a break from it, it's hard. I mean, we just had a whole lot of productions do that because of the global crisis. So I hope that's not the case with this film. I hope we get something good, just like you do. I tell you what, since we're going to wrap up, I want to ask you, are there any final thoughts or anything that you have on Indiana 5 or any Indiana Jones in general before we call it done?
Yeah, I think that whatever happens, Indiana Jones will always be remembered to me as the guy riding off into the sunset. I'm one of those people that doesn't know what the fourth movie was.
Nobody does.
Unlike Chris Knight, who loves it. But I think that if we don't see something good, it will be a shame.
Yeah.
But I think if we do, speak with your wallets. Speak with your wallet 100%. I think Harrison Ford, if anything, he loves the character.
He does.
I think it's one of his favorite characters apart from Han Solo that he's ever played.
I would say, according to him, Indiana Jones is his favorite character. So
Okay.
just based on his own statements, I would say this is the role he loves. You know, and despite some of the public statements that he's made over the years that have seemed a little curious and frustrating to some, you know, he's played amazing roles, and he's played a lot of amazing roles. I mean, obviously, the two most iconic being Han Solo and Indiana Jones. But he's done a lot of other stuff, and I mean, you have to give it to him. I mean, you're right. He came into Hollywood as a carpenter, and he left as a movie star.
Absolutely.
And I hope that his career. I hope this is his last film. I hope after this film, and first of all, I hope it's good. But I hope that after this, I hope that after this film, he rides off into the sunset, just like his character did in Last Crusade.
Absolutely. 100% agreed with you, sir.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you very much, Thomas. This was an incredible opportunity. I'm going to try and do these about once a month with great interviewees like Thomas Gilkey here. Thomas, you want to talk about anything, promote anything on the way out the door, or say anything to everybody?
Sure. So, and I believe this was alluded to on the End of Sport and News podcast channel or a stream tonight. Just yesterday, one of our good friends in the community, one of my good friends and one of your good friends, ORDS board, was unfortunately demonetized due to who knows what bot accounts, and or that's what's being
speculation.
That's speculation. What's being speculated. But we don't know really. But that doesn't matter. What it does matter is, guys, go and show your support and love to ORDS board. Fat Steven said it great. He's loved by a lot of people. He does great Mario Kart streams, and he does great streams on Wednesday and Sundays, I believe. Go and show your support to him. He's a great guy. He's a good personal friend of mine, and he's a good personal friend of yours, and so many in the community. Hashtag we love ORDS and Amber. And, just if you want to, go check out my channel. I'm 3 away from being at 630 subs. Get my watch time up. I'm at 1,000 watch hours. And go and subscribe if you haven't already to Mr. CultureCasino. He does great stuff. His content, his gaming streams are pretty good from what I've heard. And his shows, from the Sunday roundup to his Tuesday shows with Tom Connors of Midnight's Edge, are pretty damn awesome, and the rest of his content is pretty good. So go and subscribe to him. And thank you, CultureCasino, very much for having me on. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
It was a great pleasure to have you on, Thomas. I appreciate you. Thank you for promoting my stuff, which I usually don't do on these types of things, but I'm going to try to do these at least once a month, where I get with somebody who have an in-depth conversation about something that we love, because it's important. And these are the conversations we should be having, right? Anyway, thank you all so much for being here today. I truly appreciate it. And as I always end every stream, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye. Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.